A surprise. Why did I even bother to ask? I knew what he was looking for, didn't I? File S39XX300. But what was so bloody important about that file? It must be here. It must be. He didn't say it angrily as such, but the determination in his words was like iron. Hundreds of files, which before had been in impeccable order, now lay scattered all over the metal floor of the safe, and still he continued his wild hunt. I stood mute at the door and watched him. Even had I known how to help, I wouldn't have dared get in his way. It took him about half an hour to turn the orderly file boxes into a monumental mess. Finally, the very last file was in his hand. He looked at the number and let it drop to the floor with a clatter. He stood like that for a moment, rock still. Then he whirled around. The look in his dark eyes made me retreat a step. You, he hissed, coldly. He didn't say anything more. He didn't need to. I knew it was an accusation. My breathing sped up. Dear God, he suspected me of stealing the file. Me, sweet little me. What was he going to do? Call the police. Looking into his eyes, somehow I doubted that. I remembered Kareem and the huge saber, and my heart sped up some more. Where is it? He asked. The file. ID don't know. In 2 steps, he was in front of me. Hell's whiskers. I hadn't noticed how tall he was before. He was towering over me. Why the hell was I so nervous? What could he do to me, anyway? Well, looked pretty sharp the last time you saw it, don't you think? He wouldn't harm me, would he? Tell me what you have done with the file, he said in his usual cold, hard voice, or you will learn how to swim face down in the Thames tonight. All right, that answered my question pretty succinctly. My whole body felt cold all of a sudden. Darn, was he being serious? I looked into his eyes. Yes, he was, absolutely serious. You wouldn't dare, I managed to whisper. Really, raising his hand, he counted dispassionately. Firstly, nobody knows you are really here. You do not exist, Mr. Victor Linton. His lips didn't curve into a derisive smile, but even without that I could hear the cold venom he put into my invented name. Nobody will care if you vanish, and nobody will connect your disappearance to the death of some young poor lady found drowned in the Thames, he continued. He extended a second finger. Secondly, I have very discreet associates. It would be a marvel if your body was even found. Another finger. He caught my gaze with his, and held it. Thirdly, look at me. Look into my eyes and then tell me again I would not dare to get rid of you. Well, at least I now knew one thing. He was no industrialist who had made his fortune by producing tin cans or porcelain figurines. He was something else entirely. Where, he asked in a voice so low I almost didn't catch it, is the file? Last chance, Mr. Linton. Damn it, what was happening to me? I could feel my whole body beginning to shake, and my eyes felt strange. They felt as if they were wet. Oh no, no, and no again. I was not going to cry like some little girl. Not in front of him. Not now. I was going to be brave and prove to him that I was just as good as any man and I started to cry. I admit it, all right. I started to cry. I don't know, I sniffled, lowering my head and searching desperately for a handkerchief. But these were my uncle's trousers, and he never went out, so there were no handkerchiefs in his pockets. Hurriedly, I tried to wipe away the tears with my sleeve before he could see them. I didn't take your file. I didn't. I blinked up at him, breathing heavily. What was he going to do now? Call his henchmen and have me killed? To my surprise I saw him not where he had been a moment ago. He had retreated a few steps. The ice had gone out of his eyes, and he was standing in a slightly awkward position, his hands tugged into the pockets of his waistcoat as if he didn't know what to do with them. Here, he muttered. Pulling one of his hands out of the pocket, he handed me a clean white linen handkerchief. You just threatened to kill me and now you're offering me a handkerchief? I asked, tearfully. He shrugged, and the awkwardness vanished as he fixed me with his eyes again. I can hardly question you further while you are leaking like this. It is noisy and messy. Put an end to it. Now. Taking the handkerchief, I blew my nose in a noisy and not very ladylike manner. Then I held it out to him. Here. He shook his head. You don't want it back? Are you mad? He demanded. Of course I do. That thing cost 3 shillings and twopence. I would simply be very obliged if you washed it before giving it back, though. Oh, of course I will. I paused. If you don't kill me, that is, I added, as an afterthought. Oh, that. He shifted uncomfortably for a moment. Mr. Ambrose, uncomfortable. What was this? Finally he waved deprecatingly. I have thought of a better way. A way I can determine whether you are guilty or innocent. Well, I'm very glad to hear it. I imagine so. Straightening into his usual erect pose again, Mr. Ambrose clapped his hand. Kareem. He hadn't even called very loudly, and there was a locked door in the way. There was no way the big bearded fellow could have heard him. You called, Sahib. With a yelp, I sprang back and whirled to see the Mohammedan standing right behind me, towering in the safe's doorway. With a curt wave, Mr. Ambrose directed him back into my office. Search the room. File S39XX300. Apparently, Mr. Ambrose was as economical with his words as with his money and facial expressions. Kareem didn't need any more explanation. He went back into my office. Soon after, I heard the noise of drawers being opened. So what is it? I asked. This better method that does not require me to learn to swim with my lungs full of water. Was my voice steady? I thought it was. I probably should have been more scared, but somehow this felt unreal. I was discussing with a practical stranger his reasons for not wanting to kill me. Was this really happening? Well, you did not have the keys for the safe until today, Mr. Ambrose reasoned, his gaze wandering up and down my body in a strange manner. I do not believe you are capable of cracking a safe. Ergo, if you took the file, you must have done it today. And if it is not in your office, you must still have it on you. And, I asked, what do you intend to do now? His gaze went up and down my body again. As I said, he repeated, his dark, sea-colored eyes intent. You must have it on you. He took a step towards me. And suddenly I understood. My hands shot up to shield me. Oh no, 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 mister. Don't even think about it. I defend my honor, more's the pity. He cocked his head. No. No, definitely no. Despite what you have been trying to tell yourself, I am still a girl and I am most definitely not going to let you rummage around in my knickers. You would rather end up face down in the Thames. I would rather that you trusted me. Trust. The word came slowly over his sculpted lips as if he hadn't used them in a very long time. Mr. Linton. In Russia they have a saying about that. Do you know it, Mr. Linton? He took a step closer. How the heck should I? I'm not Russian. The saying is, trust, but verify. He took a step closer again. I do not subscribe to that saying. I never trust, but I always verify. You are not getting me out of my dress so you can rummage around in my underwear. I declared, maybe a bit too forcefully. That was largely due to the fact that a part of my mind was occupied with how it would feel to have him rummage around in my underwear. And another part of my mind was busy being furious at the aforementioned part of my mind for having such thoughts. You are not wearing a dress, but trousers, he pointed out in his usual cold, curt manner. Whatever, are you a gentleman, sir, or a cur? That depends on the necessities of the situation. And in this situation, give me back the file, Mr. Linton, and I will not have to search you. For the 100th time, I do not have it. For the 4th time, actually, he corrected. Do not exaggerate. Heavy footsteps approached. They needed a few seconds to break through my concentration, and it was the same with Mr. Ambrose. We were glaring at each other with such intensity that at first we didn't notice the giant bearded figure who had appeared in the doorway. Finally, Mr. Ambrose wrenched his gaze away from me. Yes, he asked. Kareem shook his weighty turban and beard, as well as the head that was squeezed in between. Nothing, Sahib. At which Mr. Ambrose's gaze returned to me with double intensity. You know what that means, Mr. Linton. What? I snapped. And don't call me Mr. It means that I have no choice but to search you. No, I crossed my arms. He wasn't going to touch me. Not ever. Well, not that I really would have minded so much. But if I would ever let him take a closer look at my underwear, it would not be to search it for some stupid paper. Thank you very much. I mean, every girl has to have some self-respect. Self-respect. My inner feminist screamed at me. Under what circumstances do you think him taking a look at your underwear would be all right with your self-respect? Have you forgotten that you despise men in whatever form they come? Kareem, Mr. Ambrose said, darkly. I'm going to take care of this. Close the safe door and lock us in. Open it only when I call again. My eyes widened. I rushed towards the door, but before I could reach it the huge Mohammedan had slammed it shut and plunged us into utter darkness. Asterisk tilde asterisk tilde asterisk asterisk tilde asterisk tilde asterisk. Ouch. NG. Let go. Stop wriggling you. Slap. The noise echoed quite loudly in the dark, hollow room. There were a few seconds of silence, then I heard Mr. Ambrose's calm voice. Calm in the way a volcano was calm before the explosion. Kareem, open the door again. Slowly, the door slid open, admitting a brilliant ray of sunlight that cut through the darkness like a red-hot knife through butter. It fell on Mr. Ambrose's face, which also was pretty much red-hot, at least in the places where my hand had made contact with his cheek. You, he said decidedly, his jaw taut, are either as guilty as the devil himself or have more morals than apparent at first sight. I narrowed my eyes. What is that supposed to mean, more than apparent at first sight? It is supposed to mean more morals than one would expect from a girl who runs around dressed in men's clothes. Hey, this was your idea, remember? An idea I thought no sane individual would take seriously. Well, I have, and now I'm here. So what are you going to do with me? His threatening sea-colored eyes fixed on my face again. I must search you, Mr. Linton. It is useless to resist. The fellow had just intended to undress me and he was still calling me, Mr. This was unbelievable. Why should I steal your stupid file? I shouted. I don't even know what's in it. You could have been put up to it. By whom? By one of the men who want me ruined and dead. He said that so coldly, so calmly, that it cut right through my anger. I looked closer and saw that behind his granite facade, emotions were boiling inside him. He was just too stubborn to admit it. What's so important about that file? I asked, softly. Well, relatively softly, anyway. If you took it, you already know, was his response. And if you didn't, I will not tell you. Why not? I do not have to explain myself to you. So what now? I asked again. I could tie you down to search you, he threatened. You could try. My hands came up defensively again. Unconsciously, Mr. Ambrose's hand went to his cheek, and I had to grin. Was I crazy? It was still a very real possibility that I would end up face down in the Thames today, and here I was, grinning like a Cheshire cat. But I just couldn't help being excited. This was the first halfway thrilling thing to have happened in my massively mundane life. Mr. Ambrose noticed my grin. Just before he turned to his turban-wearing henchman, I thought I could see a faint scowl on his face. What? I had elicited a facial expression from Mr. Granite Face. Surely not. Kareem, would you be so good as to search her? Mr. Ambrose inquired. The Mohammedan's eyes flickered to me for a moment. He stood straighter and gripped the hilt of his saber. I would fight an Ifrit, 23, for you, Sahib. But this creature, he gave me a look that reminded me of the way my aunt always looked at me. I must respectfully decline. I thought so, nodded Mr. Ambrose. What in God's name is an Ifrit? I demanded. A powerful half-demon from Arabian mythology, Mr. Ambrose informed me. They are over 12 feet tall, armed with huge swords and have fists and wings that burn with hellfire. Dear me, I had no idea Kareem thought so highly of me. Mr. Ambrose started pacing up and down with long, measured strides. I watched him carefully, my heartbeat still not returned to its normal rhythm. With his impassive face, fathomless eyes and long black tailcoats fluttering behind him like bat wings, he really looked more than a little intimidating. For a moment, I considered running. Maybe I could make it to the hallway and scream for help. Mr. Stone would hear me. Maybe he would run for the police. Kareem met my eyes. His small, beady specimens weren't quite as impressive as those of his master, but his were full of suspicion and animosity. I sent Stone away, he stated. The door to the hallway is locked. Mr. Ambrose didn't cease his pacing. I knew it wasn't him the comment had been meant for, anyway. I gave Kareem a curt nod, which he returned. If I had the slightest doubt before that Mr. Ambrose could and would kill to protect his interests, it was now gone. With such servants at his command, the deed would be easy to accomplish. I wondered why I didn't feel more afraid. Suddenly, Mr. Ambrose stopped in his tracks and whirled around to face me. You, he said curtly, have placed me in a difficult position, Mr. Linton. Because you have to kill me now? I inquired. No, maybe I was mistaken, but I could have sworn his jaw tightened a little bit. Because I cannot kill you, Mr. Linton. Any man under the same suspicion you are under now I would simply challenge to a duel and shoot like the dog he is. However, he paused for a moment to take a breath. That will not be possible in your case, since you are not quite as male as I could wish. There, that was why I was not afraid. You mean because I'm a girl, I pointed out, which means I am female, not male. You can say the word, you know. It's not poisonous. Oh, but it is, he responded, coolly. Poisonous to my reputation, and now to my interests. I must have that file, Mr. Linton. However, you were right, I am a gentleman, and because of that unfortunate condition you conceal under your trousers, I, as a gentleman, can neither search you nor kill you to gain what I must have. Unfortunate condition. God, this fellow really needed his head examined. Why are you so bloody convinced that it was me who stole your precious papers, anyway? I lashed out. Why so determined to think that I am the guilty one? Why not some other member of your staff? The file could have been gone for days. No, it couldn't, he replied curtly. Because nobody had access to the files in the safe. Nobody else had another key. And what about the one you gave me? Why these pointless questions? He asked, shaking his head. We both know that you are guilty. There is no duplicate key, and the one I gave you was in my own possession the entire time since last Wednesday when, abruptly, his head shaking ceased. His whole body froze. Yes, I demanded. When what? Slowly he came out of his paralysis and turned his head to face me directly. His dark eyes flashed as though a storm was raging in them. For one moment he looked so dangerous I actually took a step back. But then I realized that for once, his anger was not directed at me. A word passed his lips like the hiss of a snake preparing to strike. Simmons. Kareem let out a low oath in a language I didn't understand. But the way he said it, I didn't have to know the words to know that it was a curse. He had obviously understood. I, on the contrary, was still completely in the dark. Simmons, I echoed, making it a question. He met my eyes with his deep, dark, blue-gray ones. Yes, Simmons, Mr. Linton. Simmons, my previous private secretary. Simmons, who disappeared a few days ago without any explanation. Simmons, the treacherous snake. With a few long strides Mr. Ambrose was over at my desk and started rifling through my drawers. The wooden ones in the desk, I mean. What are you doing? I demanded. I thought your big bull already checked those. Kareem threw me a look that signified about a ton of displeasure. Apparently he didn't appreciate his new nickname. I made a mental note to use it again at the earliest opportunity. Kareem did search the drawers, Mr. Ambrose agreed. But he searched them for the missing file, not for a sign of where the traitor who has taken the file might have gone. This was his desk once. So you think that this Simmons did it now? You no longer think it was me? No, I was a fool to ever have thought it. After all, you're only, he waved his hand non-committally. A girl, I piped up. Is that what you were going to say? We females can steal things just as well as any man, thank you very much. A moment ago you were afraid of me thinking you're guilty, and now you praise your skills as a thief. Not my skills, but the skills of womanhood in general, and I was certainly not afraid. You were not. Do I look afraid to you? No, he admitted. You look superfluous. Leave the room. I and my men have a thief to catch. He nodded to the door and returned to his work of rifling through the desk, as if I had already left, or as if I had ceased to exist entirely. That, I was sure, was how he would have preferred things. Crossing my arms, I planted myself in front of him. I'm not going anywhere. I give you the rest of the day off, he said, not looking at me. Go and enjoy your holiday. Trust me when I say I do not give holidays often. With me it seems that is almost the only thing you do. I did not come here to juggle meaningless pieces of paper like a monkey trained for some circus and then be chucked out after half a day. I came here to work, and if you have a thief to catch, I will come with you. Just for your information, he said, the pieces of paper that you have, juggled, as you put it have most certainly not been meaningless. He still didn't bother to turn around and look at me. All I could do was send my furious glares at his broad, hard back, and that did nothing to calm me down. They all pertain to my business in a very real way, he continued. And you are nothing whatsoever like a circus monkey. A monkey wouldn't talk back at me. But it might bite. I'm not sure I wouldn't prefer that. Is that so? I took an involuntary step towards him. Well, I could try if you wished. His neck muscles tensed. No need to put yourself to trouble. Go home. That is an order. No, I stamped my foot. I didn't care if I made a spectacle of myself. He was going to accept me whether he wanted to or not. You cannot refuse to go home if I send you away. I wouldn't have believed his voice could grow colder than it already was. But he was reaching new heights of vocal deep freezing. You work for me. Exactly. I nodded. I work for you. And just as I could protest if you were to keep me at work longer than the normal hours, I have the right to protest if you send me away early. You accepted my work in exchange for a salary, Mr. Ambrose, and I intend to earn that salary. I will not accept charity from anyone, and most certainly not from you. He looked up then and met my gaze again. Had something in my little speech actually managed to capture his attention? There was something in his eyes as he looked at me. Something different from before. It was intense, but I had no idea what it was. You are wasting my time, he said, but his voice wasn't quite as hard and immovable as just a second ago. I need to catch Simmons. Then let me help, I pleaded. Instead of answering, he returned to rummaging through the last drawer. Slamming it shut, he turned to Kareem, who stood waiting at the entrance to the safe. Nothing here. Get the men here. The entire team. Tell Warren to go over this place with a fine-tooth comb. Anything he finds, and I mean anything, is to be brought to me immediately. Understood? Yes, Sahib. Why not just tell the police about this? I dared to interject. Because I do not want this business in tomorrow's newspapers, was the curt reply. And because if we find the thief, they will get in my way. I had to swallow. Taking into account his recent threats towards yours truly, I could only imagine too well what he meant by that. So what now? I asked. Now you will go home. No, I will not. Kareem, who had been striding towards the door to embark on his errand, hesitated there. Do you truly wish me to leave you alone with her, Sahib? I rolled my eyes. Oh, please. Mr. Ambrose nodded. Yes, go, Kareem. I need Warren here as soon as possible. As you wish, Sahib. But Kareem still looked doubtful under his beard as he unlocked the door and left the room. When the door closed behind him, I stepped up to Mr. Ambrose until only a few inches separated us. There was no point in beating about the bush further. Why won't you let me do my job? What exactly is your problem? His eyes, seeming darker than usual, almost black, bored into me like a steam engine-driven drill. You know. Angrily, I put my fists on my hips. You mean the fact that I'm a girl? He didn't say anything, but from his look I knew that was it. What was the matter? This was going beyond chauvinism. Wasn't he even able to say the word, girl, aloud? Did he have such a strong distaste for it? For me, do you behave like this to all females? I demanded. A faint noise escaped him. It might have been a snort. Hardly. All females don't put on trousers and trick me into giving them jobs. I did not trick you. Maybe. Get to the point. I already have. Why won't you let me help you? Let me work for you properly. He shook his head in exasperation. You don't understand. Where I am going, what I will be doing. It will be dangerous. Very dangerous. I cannot let you accompany me. Why not? I asked, heatedly. Simply because I am a girl. He stared at me for a second, seemingly lost for words. For this one moment I saw something flicker in his eyes, something different from the iron determination that was usually there. He looked almost frightened, longing. Then the shutters came down again, and he nodded. Yes, that's exactly the reason. I am a gentleman. As such I cannot allow any lad person of female gender to be in danger. It did not pass my notice how he had avoided using the term, lady. Oh really? Sarcasm was dripping from my voice. If I may remind you, you were threatening to do away with me yourself not 10 minutes ago. That, he answered in a chilling voice, was when I thought you had betrayed me. I do not take kindly to traitors, Mr. Linton. The sarcasm drained from my voice and face. I am not a traitor, I said, my voice full of hurt. For one instant, I thought his granite face softened a bit. I know, you have done an acceptable job so far, for an Ifrit. My eyes flew wide open. Had my ears betrayed me, or had Mr. Ambrose, Mr. Silent and sullen granite face Ambrose, just made a joke? But your capabilities as an office worker don't have anything to do with this. You simply can't get involved in this matter. You see that, don't you? He continued so quickly that I immediately forgot about the maybe joke and my hackles rose. No, I most certainly do not see. You have taken me on to work for you. I folded my arms in front of my chest. I demand work. I demand to work bloody hard for every penny you will pay me, just like Kareem and this Warren fellow and every other man you employ, do you understand? I want to earn my own money, and I will, whether you want me to or not. Once again, he studied me with his dark, sea-colored eyes. There was something growing there, slowly, very slowly. Acceptance. More likely it was resignation. He took a step towards me. Whereas before our faces had been inches apart, now it was only a fraction of an inch. I will not be able to change your mind, will I? He asked. His voice was arctic, but for some reason I didn't feel cold. Instead I felt heat rush over my body. Where his face and mine almost touched, my skin began to tingle. The tension between us was burning. No, I grinned. And you don't have the time anyway. You have to catch a thief. Good point. Again, he studied me. You really wish to help? Yes. Very well then, follow me. He whirled, and before I knew what was happening he was striding away. I followed instinctively, only now realizing how my breath had sped up during our little standoff. Strange. Why had I reacted like this? It must have been the exhilaration of finally triumphing over him. Yes, that had to be it. He led me back towards the entrance of the safe. There, he stopped and turned to me. I had to work hard to keep a triumphant smile off my face. This was it. He was finally going to accept me and give me responsibility. I have a very important assignment for you, he said, looking me directly in the eyes. One of vital significance, which I expect to be finished by the time I return. What is it? I asked, breathless. He pushed open the door to the safe, which had fallen closed behind us. Then he pointed to the chaos of files on the floor. Clean up that mess. Little Ifrit. All right, sir, I did it. So what? He was my employer, after all, and he could order me to do anything he wanted. The fact that I was fuming and fantasizing about choking him didn't really count as an excuse to shirk my duties. By the light of the small gas lamp Mr. Ambrose had given me, I started to sort files. Soon I found that, while the work itself was deathly boring, being positioned in the safe room had unexpected advantages. Once I had pushed open the door, which Mr. Ambrose had shut, I could hear everything that was going on in my office, which was quite a lot, let me tell you. There was a knock on the door. Enter, Mr. Ambrose's curt voice called. Mr. Ambrose. Good morning, sir, a quiet, respectful voice said in answer. Several pairs of feet shuffled into my office. Apparently it had been selected as official HQ for the thief hunt. I came as soon as you called. What is the matter? Kareem didn't say. Warren. No. Good morning. From Mr. Stoneface Ambrose, of course, and certainly no. How nice to see you. He got right to the point. Have you seen Simmons? Simmons, sir, I thought you gave me to understand that he suddenly gave up his post. He did, and he took something of mine along with him, it appears. There was a short, heavy silence. It wasn't hard for me to imagine the merciless ice in Mr. Ambrose's eyes right then. Just from the feel of the air I got the impression that the people in my office experienced a twinge of pity for Simmons. I see. What can we do, sir? First answer my question, Warren. Have you seen him since he left? No, sir. Has he come back to pick up his belongings? I can send someone and check, sir. Do that, now. Footsteps hurried off. There were a few more minutes of silence, which nobody made even the slightest attempt to fill. Apparently Mr. Ambrose didn't think much of small talk. What a surprise. The moment the footsteps returned he asked, and? His things are gone, said a third voice. I asked Mr. Garfield down at the lockers, and he said that Simmons took them with him on the same day he disappeared. That settles it, declared Mr. Ambrose. He's the thief. He has been planning this. It appears so, sir, agreed the man called Warren. May I ask what was stolen? No. What was this? No. Just like that. No. Mr. Ambrose didn't even trust his own people. Well, I shouldn't be surprised that I was stuck in here sorting files then, instead of being out there where the real work was being done. You were looking for a folder with the inscription, S39XX300, Mr. Ambrose told them, icily. That is all you need to know. Yes, Mr. Ambrose, sir. First you will search this office. I have some urgent business and will leave you to it. If you have any questions, ask Kareem. Yes, sir. His footsteps receded, and the noises from the other room indicated that Mr. Warren and his cronies had begun their search. I returned my attention to my work. Quite a good idea, it appeared. I had been so distracted that I hadn't noticed I had tried to stuff a bunch of files into the open mouth of some wooden African totem. Hurriedly I removed them and started looking for the proper container. For the next few minutes I busied with the files. Then I suddenly heard footsteps approaching the door of the safe. Yet before I could panic and begin to wonder what they wanted with me, I heard Kareem's voice. Not in there, Warren. But Mr. Ambrose said to search everywhere. Everywhere in this office, not in the safe. There is. Kareem's voice dropped to a whisper as he explained something to Warren. I didn't exactly hear everything, but I thought I caught the word, Ifrit. Really? Warren whispered. Are you sure? I saw it with my own eyes, Kareem assured him. Right in there, in the safe room. Indeed, so you see you had better not. Of course, I'll steer clear of it, don't you worry. For the following few minutes my fantasies changed from strangling Mr. Ambrose to braining Kareem with a wooden African totem. In the end I suppose the difference didn't much matter. Men, they were all the same. During the following hours I worked ceaselessly, clearing up the mess my dear master had left behind. He wouldn't have an excuse to accuse me of slacking, oh no. The task actually wasn't as hard as I had feared. All the folders strewn over the floor were numbered. Since I had already fully grasped the sorting system, and the one here in the safe was simply an extension of that in my office, I got on quickly, and orderly rows of boxes grew on the shelves. Finally, the door to my office opened and I heard his unmistakable voice. Are you done, Warren? Nearly, Mr. Ambrose. As soon as you're done here, prepare your men for a little trip, by which I do not mean a stroll in the park. Do we understand each other? Yes, Mr. Ambrose. Very well, I shall join you in a minute, as soon as I've seen how my little Ifrit is doing. You're what, sir? Forget what I said, Warren. Yes, sir. His little Ifrit. I supposed I should have been outraged, him calling me names and all, but for some strange reason I felt warm inside. Maybe because of my flaming wings, who knew? Mr. Ambrose had obviously not intended for me to hear his words. Quickly and quietly I closed the door to the safe room, just as he had left it, and retreated to a corner, a demure little smile on my face as I looked around the room. All right, maybe the smile wasn't totally demure. Maybe it was even a little bit self-satisfied. So what? The door was pushed open and Mr. Ambrose entered. I will be leaving on the search soon, he began. So sorry that you are occupied and can't come with us. How many hours do you think you will still need to finish your? As his eyes adjusted to the gloom of the safe room, his voice trailed off. You were saying, I inquired sweetly. Slowly, Mr. Ambrose's gaze wandered over the long rows of impeccably ordered boxes on the shelves of the safe room. He bent to examine the floor, maybe in the hope that he could find a stray piece of paper still lying somewhere, or at least a few flecks of dust. When he finally straightened again, his eyes fixed on me. You were finished? Yes. Why? I fluttered my eyelashes at him. Were you by any chance expecting me to take longer? No, he lied smoothly. In fact, I was expecting you to be finished long ago. Don't be so lazy again, or I will have to reduce your wages. Well, I glared at him, even though for some strange reason, inside I wasn't feeling angry. Somehow I knew he was only putting on a show, and I was dancing in triumph. You had better stop or you'll drown me in compliments for my work. Don't be afraid, he assured me. That will never, ever happen. I could readily believe it. Mr. Ambrose. The man called Warren appeared at the door to the safe room. He was an average-looking fellow with a thin moustache and a high forehead. Spotting me, he looked at me curiously for a second. Then his gaze returned to our master. We're ready to go, sir. I see. Mr. Ambrose's voice was as cool as could be. Warren, I think you haven't met before. He indicated me. This. He swallowed as if he had to get something unpleasant down his throat. This is Mr. Linton, my new private secretary. I see. A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Linton. Warren extended his hand to me. As if in a dream, I took it and shook it. Likewise, I heard myself say. He has admitted it. He has admitted to another person that I work for him. Enough pleasantries. Mr. Ambrose cut short our pleasantries. Abruptly he whirled to the door. We have a thief to catch. With 2 long strides he was outside and out of sight. Come. We heard his commanding voice from outside. Both of you. I was still so thrilled by his admission that it took me a few seconds to register his words. What? I managed. Me. Too. Are you deaf? Get a move on, Mr. Linton. I jumped up so fast you might have thought a scorpion had stung me. Following Mr. Ambrose out of the safe, I saw that he had crossed my office and was standing at the connecting door to his own. He thrust it open and we followed him inside the large, bare and empty room. A room which was no longer bare and empty. I had been mistaken, thinking that my office was the Thief Hunter HQ. It had just been a temporary space until things were set up in here. People were standing all around, men with nondescript faces, in nondescript clothes. On the desk lay a gigantic map, larger than any I had seen before, even in the British Museum. It detailed not the world, but, to judge from the web of jagged lines, some vast city in fine detail. Immediately I knew what it had to be. A map of London. A map for the hunters. What in heaven's name could have been stolen that Mr. Ambrose was so desperate to discover? And why wouldn't he tell anyone what it was? Why wouldn't he tell me? Gather round. Mr. Ambrose took up his position at the desk and gestured for Kareem, Warren and me to do likewise. The 24 or so men whom Warren had brought with him posted themselves at either entrance to the room. Some of the men, including Warren but excluding Mr. Ambrose, took out cigars and lit them. Not used to the smell, I wrinkled my nose, but I would have to get used to this if I really intended to work among men. We have to come up with a strategy to track Simmons, Mr. Ambrose said. Suggestions, gentlemen. And ladies, I thought, but didn't say it. Instead I said, well, maybe we should start by thinking about motive. Why did he steal the file? Because he wanted it, obviously, said Mr. Ambrose. I should perhaps have clarified. Intelligent suggestions. That is not what I meant, I snapped. I meant, what does the file contain? Why exactly did he want it for himself? None of you are to know what the file contains, Mr. Linton. Nor do I see that it is in any way necessary. It is necessary if we want to know where he will go next and what he will do, I persisted. God, he really had trust issues. For example, if it simply is a folder containing banknotes, he'll just flee the city. If it is some important document, he might try to sell it. If it is a letter from one of your secret lady friends, he will try to blackmail you. Mr. Warren almost swallowed his cigar. Slowly, Mr. Ambrose, who had been staring down at the table, looked up at me and fixed me with his cold gaze. I tried my best to meet his eyes without flinching. Well, I can guarantee you, Mr. Linton, that it is not a letter from one of my secret lady friends. They would not waste their time writing letters to me they know I would not read. Now it was my turn to stare. Was he being serious? Did he really have a secret lady friend or, God forbid, several? For heaven's sake, I had been trying to make a joke. Perhaps not the best of ideas where he was concerned. Well, I said as steadily as possible, that leaves 2 of the possibilities I have outlined. Which is it? He remained silent. Just a general indication, I coaxed. Come on, you have got to give us something. Warren cleared his throat, taking this opportunity to rid himself of the bitten off pieces of his cigar that were still stuck there. I think I must agree with Mr. Linton, sir. Without any idea of what the document in question is, we have little hope of catching the thief. Mr. Ambrose stayed silent for 1 moment longer, then he nodded curtly. Number 2, he stated. I frowned. What was he talking about? Excuse me. Number 2, he repeated. The second possibility you outlined. There are no banknotes in the file. It is an important document. Taking a deep breath, he added, more important than you can imagine. Now we're getting somewhere, I sighed.